another few words about the simplicity in the complexity of choosing softening, choosing to soften in the midst of the storm, or in the midst of pain, or in the midst of confusion, or in the midst of doubt, or in the midst of even reactivity, when the mind is scrambling, when the emotions are upregulated. Soften. There's such power in our capacity to soften. You never heal unless there is a softening. I know unless that softening tends to open up emotional aspects of us. But that's the contract. That is the deal. When we soften, the river starts flowing again. The energy starts flowing again. It can't happen without a certain softening. Sometimes we need to break down in order to break through. The breaking down is where the resistance and the force and the fight has reached its zenith, has reached its point of no return. And in that there's a breakdown, but the breakdown is not into, catastrophe or anything as terrible as we imagine. It's actually the breakdown into softness, into a deeper acceptance, into a deeper surrender. Softening is surrender. Softening. Think about it. Softening and surrender in the way that we're talking here are the same thing. So instead of struggling with the mind to think, well, how can I surrender? How can I do this? How can I do that? Think of softening into it. Everybody knows what softening is without over-analyzing it. Softening is what you would do if you, if you were, walking down the street, or you come home and, you've got some tension or something, or you're preoccupied with mind, and there's your favourite little puppy, or a little cat, or some tender small flower or something, and you're like, wow. You soften, your heart softens, the very essence, your being, your mind takes a back seat because you've softened into something. Softening is not something necessarily to do with the mind. Softening is where the mind is suspended somewhat and the heart opens just a bit. We tend to want to think of it as all or nothing. The heart is vastly open and, unconditional with the whole world. But don't think of it like that. Think of it as just this small softening. And then we have that to ourselves, to our whole experience. Softening and kindness. Softening, tenderness, kindness, openness. These are all qualities that are not spoken of so much in the world of opinion and prejudice and judgment and, reactivity and anger and, division and all this kind of stuff, which is the dominant. These are dominant forces in the world and in the world of the self. But this is not the whole picture. And the whole picture is opened up in this kind of exploration with a great willingness to soften down, to soften up, to open, to be tender to whatever it is that you're doing, to whatever it is that you're feeling. There's nothing resigned about it. It reveals the beauty of us. It reveals the love in us. It reveals what's actually under the surface, just through this simple softening. Amazing power that softening has. Don't just dismiss it out of hand, and I know people do, and I get all sorts of comments and stuff on YouTube, of people who have got very vociferous opinions about things, very, rigid opinions about, no, that's wrong, and this, that. None of that really matters. What matters is a deeper allowing in many ways, a deeper softening, a deeper grace. This is the healing. There's great healing in that. There's no healing in, upholding one's opinion of things. There's no healing in, taking a stance of defendedness, or I'm right and you're wrong. There's no real healing in the world of the separation, in the world of that kind of duality. Because it relies on the upholding of so much of us. There's so much of our opinion and judgment, and there's no softness, there's no kindness in that. That's not where my attention is. My attention is to a different thing, to a deepening into a kind of grace, a deepening into the tender heart, a deepening into the awareness and openness that is essentially who we really are. There's a kind of true presence that we have. So don't dismiss softening. To soften with oneself, to soften with one's life, releases the mind. It's a relief to the mind in many ways, because it's not anything particularly to do with the mind. That's what I wanted to say.